everyone, it's Coach Rick. So it's now the first week of December and I want you guys to be successful. So just banking that some of you felt a little bit of remorse from Thanksgiving, I would say hang on to that. Don't feel bad, but hang on to that and start prepping for December. Since December encompasses Christmas, Hanukkah, Christmas vacations, and then New Year's, I'd say we have two threats that are coming our way. So if those of you who kind of dug in a little bit too deep to Thanksgiving, it's okay, but I would always want you to pay it forward. So this is my challenge. For those of you who follow me as far as Herbal 411 highlights and being a coach to you, then listen in. The objective would be to prep for what's coming at the last 2 weeks. Actually, the last week of December and the first week of January. So my suggestion would be, if you pay it forward, and you don't have to do what I do, you don't have to be a vegan, you don't have to be a faster, you don't have to stop alcohol, but I would say take this first week and try to do this. Number one, first week of December, PBB, push back breakfast. So if you usually eat at 6 or 7 a.m., even if it's something small, a sandwich, an egg and rice. Well, that's what I have. I mean, I used to have that. Or leftovers from the night before if you're paleo, or something fatty if you're keto, regardless. Or just if you have coffee and you put sugar in it, or tea and you put honey in it, regardless, push back breakfast. So try to make it about a 3-hour pushback. And it might not be convenient for you because you'll be doing it in the midst of work or driving. But I'd say even if you have the first amount of fuel that hits your lips at a later hour, say 9 or 10 o'clock, if you hold that for about a week, you actually will get through that rough part, which usually says, hey, I need some food. And you don't really need food unless you're super skinny. You have food right here. This fatty lining in the visceral tummy usually is so much of a fuel source, but you're not going to unlock it until you push a little bit of starvation. So push back breakfast, PBB. Once you get through this first week of December and you've been able to push back your first fuel source, now you can still have coffee, tea, but no honey, milk, sugar, nothing like that. No creamer. If you just push it back till about 10, for example, and you make it through, deal with the headaches, deal with a little bit of the withdrawal, even if you're an exerciser, check out my video on fasted exercise and you'll see that it's doable. Just have to get used to it. If you do that and you're successful, the next thing would be the second week of December. I would also do IMF. Now, I was going to call it IF. If sounds too iffy. IMF, especially if you're a Tom Cruise fan, it's Impossible Mission Force, but this is more for my patients and clients, intermittent fasting. I know it doesn't really work out to that, but intermittent fasting, and that's where you really push back even further. So if you've been successful at pushing your first amount of fuel that goes to your mouth to 10, make it 12. That way your first meal of the day is your lunch. For those of you on a regular schedule, shifts-wise. And if your first meal is lunch, you just cut out a bunch of calories, considering that the majority of people who eat breakfast usually have the most carbohydrate-dense meal of the day in the morning. And that just inspires insulin. Check out my video on insulin. I'll put them down below. There are links on my YouTube videos. So, second week of December, intermittent fasting. That means you essentially don't have any other fuel sources until lunchtime. And you can do it. It's tough to get through it, but you can do it. And if you do that successfully and deal with a little bit more of the headaches and hangry feeling and brain fog, and I have a video on that too, then you'll be successful. Pat yourself on the back, because the third week, which is almost going to be Christmas, I believe Hanukkah is deep at that point in time. Fasting mimicking diet, FMD. So fasting mimicking diet, I can't support it enough. I think it's made such a difference in my life and my patients that buy into it. And you don't have to buy the box, but I have some patients who do a whole food approach. It's a game changer. And I would say the week 3, before the holidays actually take place, fasting mimicking diet. It only takes 5 days. Even if you do your own form of it, I think at least 3 days will initiate that ketosis and the change in IGF and the mTOR and the pKa. All those fancy words are things that the body goes through to start essentially getting to either take the fuel out of your tummy, the fat here, or reverse disease, reverse Hashimoto's thyroiditis, reverse Crohn's disease, reverse Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, cancer. There's no downside to this. There's no downside to all this stuff. Unless you have prescription medicines, and for that you should talk to me or your doctor. But this is just a coaching video. So if you do make it to the first week, pushing back breakfast, the second week, intermittent fasting, the third week, a 5-day fast, then you can indulge on the fourth week. And essentially for if you do take alcohol for New Year's. So the indulgence is payback. And if you can remember, indulgence is being payback, it might give you inspiration to go through these first 3 phases or weeks. And then the cool thing about fasting mimicking diet, I found, is that it actually decreased the cravings later on, especially if I want to dovetail into the next FMD. You don't have to do the FMD, you don't have to buy the box. I'm not here to sell anything, but if you are interested, I can get it at a discount. I'll put a link down below. But you can also calculate it yourself. So I don't want this to be a sales pitch. I just want this to be a successful pitch. Lifestyle change is really important. If you're struggling at this point in time with any disease process or strife for the holiday, I think using the template I just came up with should be an easy in, and should be really boosting you high so that you'll feel successful for 2020, and then maybe get us all to spring so we can break out and do something different. I'm going to be turning 58 in 2020, and that's so tangibly close to 60, it's making me nervous. But I'm going to convert that anxiety into something successful, and then hopefully you guys can come on the journey with me. So thanks for watching at this point in time. Don't forget to hit the videos down below to get more information. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next Herbal 411 highlights.